Hey, what's up guys? This is Jeff with Gamestork, and I asked what you wanted for E3 this past week, and now it's time to look at the things that you would like for E3 and this focus on your comments.
Gamestork, delivering news, reviews, and playthroughs like a newborn baby.
So, just to start this out, I wanted a clever name for these videos because I'm going to continue to do this, and I know other people have clever names for their videos for looking at comments and things like that. Haven't thought of one yet, but it is coming. But even though we don't have the cool, clever name yet for the future, which will come, we're still going to look at what you guys want for the Nintendo E3 this year. And I've got quite a few great comments that I've chosen out of there. Just to let you know, if your comment wasn't anything to do with that, I'm probably not going to put it on here. But we're going to go through a total of 36. Some repeat and say kind of similar things. But we're going to talk about them, give you credit for these comments, and just discuss them a little bit. So without further ado, let's start. Our first comment is from Mo11990, who says Metroid doesn't need to be Metroid Prime. Any Metroid would do. Now, here's the thing with this. I'm in agreement with this. It doesn't necessarily have to be Metroid Prime, but I would like to see something that's not a 2D side-scrolling game. Now, no offense to the 2D side-scrollers. I love them. You know, they're an intricate part of every Nintendo fan's universe. But the thing is, like right now I'm playing Shantae and I love it, but I don't want Metroid to be that too. It seems like Mario's followed that up until recently, obviously, as they're doing Super Mario Odyssey. But too many times have I wanted games and they've just come out to be 2D platformers, from Donkey Kong to Mario to you name it. And you know, I would love to see Metroid be a 3D open world game. It doesn't necessarily have to be Prime. They could put any twist on it, but one thing is for certain, I definitely want a Super Metroid, or Metroid, however they want to name it. I'm craving a Metroid game at E3. Our next comment comes from Me 2.0. He says, I remember when Nintendo at E3 and was at E3 in 2004. Has a lot of awesome first party and third party games. Crowd were cheering very loud. Reggie was saying his first slogan, my name is Reggie, I'm about taking names, and we're about making games. I'd love to see Nintendo do that again, like E3 2004. Well, yeah, their focus has changed a good bit, and now they do the pre-recorded video, but it does make sense because a couple of their last outings there at E3, they just didn't go very well, and they figured out that they could have the same success through the Nintendo Direct, which obviously in 2004, Nintendo Direct wasn't a thing yet, and the E3 was more of a trade show directed more towards those in the industry as opposed to just the public. So it has changed a lot, and this year obviously there's a lot of fans there, but you know, it doesn't mean necessarily that they're not going to do some pretty awesome stuff. Pablo Martinez says, I think a new Kid Icarus would be cool and out of left field, and hopefully a new Pokemon. Love your channel. Thanks, Pablo. Hey, Kid Icarus would be amazing. That game on the 3DS was really fun. I think it was wonderfully made. It was just a little bit cumbersome because they tried to make it fit too much with what the 3DS was, and didn't give you an option, I guess, to just use traditional controls on it, which would have made it much better. Now, don't get me wrong, I used that stand that game with for the game came with for a long time, for everything from my phone to you name it. It was a very cool little stand, but the fact that you had to put your 3DS up on a stand and use the stylus to play was just insane. So, but yeah, I think a new Kid Icarus would be great. It would be something that we wouldn't expect seeing, you know, come into it. The universe is great. There's really good characters there. So yeah, that's an awesome suggestion and something to want, really. I think that would be a great fit on the Nintendo Switch. Not to mention, the Switch also has touch control and dual touch control. So, you know. Alright, our next comment comes from Fogboy, Boy Fog. I would love to see N64 Virtual Console with HD upres and widescreen support. Yes, I would really like that too. As a matter of fact, I think I hope that the Virtual Console encompasses all systems on the Nintendo Switch. Everything from the GameCube, the Wii, the N64, Super Nintendo, everything. I just hope that they're all represented on there. There are a bunch of great things on the N64. My only problem with it is them pushing it to widescreen if they do not up-res this thing. Like if the resolution needs to be increased, and the probability of them increasing resolutions and upgrading the graphics or anything like that to make it look better on widescreen, I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. So just it being what it is, I think they're going to keep it in, you know, the original screen ratio, however it was set up, and push that out just the way that it was. Try to make it look the best that it can, but I don't think there's anything we can do essentially to do away with those black lines unless they put out like a full HD remake. Our next comment comes from Julie Lee B. Injustice 2 and Dynasty Warrior 9s for Nintendo Switch, please. This is not outlandish. Injustice 2 could very easily come to the Switch. And it would run very well on the Nintendo Switch as well. Dynasty Warriors 9, that's a shoe-in. At the launch of the Switch, there was a Japan release. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but there was a game very similar and akin to Dynasty Warriors that came out. So hopefully Dynasty Warriors will come as well. And I think that would be a lot of fun carrying that around, because it's one of those games that you can just play one of the campaigns on it, and then after the campaign's done, you could put it in sleep mode, stick it back in your bag, and you know, just go wait and play the next one. So Dynasty Wars is a lot of fun. Our next comment comes from Alfredo Ramirez. Hey Jeff, I've been following your channel lately, and I just wanted to say that I'm glad I finally found a YouTuber who seems to feel the same way I've felt about the Switch. Everyone keeps deeming it weak, but your other videos put a strong argument out there as that it's not as weak as most think. I think the Switch came off as weak because a lot of first games came out were poorly optimized, and it really hurt the reputation of the console at launch. But thankfully Nintendo is making great looking and well optimized games. Hopefully as time passes we'll see games come out that were actually worked on to run well by third parties. Good content subs. Well, thank you, Alfredo. The thing is, in those videos, and this is applicable to E3, so this being a new console, there were so many people, the third parties, that wanted to take the wait and see approach, that they just didn't even worry about the dev kits, and they rushed products over and tried to port them over. But the thing is, when you have a new console, and even though it's running the x86 architecture, all that stuff's great, but this is still a new console that runs differently, it harnesses power differently, it throttles differently. So you have to really take into account all of those things and take advantage of the Switch's strengths in order to push your game on that system. And sometimes that takes a little bit of time to be able to clean up and to make it run more efficiently. It doesn't mean that it can't, it just means that, you know, you have to optimize that game for that specific console, and that might take some time. But yes, if you guys haven't looked at the other videos, I do have a few different ones. The first that I put out is, believe it or not, the Switch can do this, and then I just started one where I'm breaking down Wii U games, and it's called Anything Wii U Can Do, Switch Can Do Better. And it's just talking about all the big games that run on the Wii U with under 1 GB of RAM and not a great GPU, and how the Switch is comparable, you know, more comparable to new consoles, and how it could handle the load. But going into E3, this is something that we need to remember. Now, I'm a firm believer that Assassin's Creed is coming. I think that Ubisoft would, you know, they would be beside themselves if they didn't get Assassin's Creed running on the Nintendo Switch, because it'd be a big draw, it'd be a big sale, and the connection, you know, between the console owners and each new game, these things are selling like hotcakes, like anything that comes out on the Switch. So I believe that Ubisoft will put this big game, and it should never limit us on, you know, our way of thinking about Nintendo's console should never be what's too weak for that. It's just, have the third-party developers decided to optimize their game for this console. Anyway, my next comment comes from Hyrule Radio. Metroid skipped the 64, skipped the Wii U. If the pattern continues, then we get a Metroid on the Switch and its successor. Let's hope. Let's hope. Reggie Fils-Aimé, again, said about a year ago when he was pushed by some people in the press about Metroid, and he said, talk to me in a year. I believe that this is it. And man, if Nintendo, and there are people that argue, they might get in this console or in this comment section and say, yeah, you know, people want this Metroid, but it's not a console seller. I promise you, you put a full-fledged Metroid game out on the Nintendo Switch that is a exploration first-person shooter done right, it will sell. It will have an attach rate that's out of this world, and people will see that this thing has developed into a game that can sell consoles. So let's hope that you're right, Howard Radio. My next comment comes from Artsy Omni. If they make a new Pikmin, please, please, please implement gyro pointer controls. Yeah, seeing what they did in World of Goo, I think that this is going to be an easy fix. I was worried about that at first with like Wii ports and some Wii U ports and things like that. But the fact is, yeah, gyro pointer controls absolutely going to happen for any of these, and especially a Pikmin game. If they didn't, I guess it wouldn't be the end of the world. If you're playing in handheld mode, being able to touch where you would like to throw the Pikmin would obviously be the best thing that you could do. But at least when this thing is docked, yeah, gyro pointer controls, they really need those in order for this to happen. And a new Pikmin game, something I really believe that is coming. I think that, you know, we know that Miyamoto announced, it's been a little bit over a year ago, he said he was working on a new Pikmin, and we found out that the Pikmin, which is Hey Pikmin for the 3DS, he did not work on that project. So there's another Pikmin project that he let slip quite a while back. So we know there's another Pikmin. It was originally supposed to come to the Wii U, and since it never showed up, we know, yeah, you know, we can imply that it is coming to the Nintendo Switch. Victor Nail says, am I the only one who still wants Mother 3? No, Victor, you are not. Mother 3 is something I think about on my pillow at night when I'm going to sleep. But the thing is they've waved that name in front of our face so much, and I've seen it, and I've just haven't, the game's just not there, that I'm starting to lose a little bit of hope. But considering the Nintendo Switch presentation is going to run approximately 25 to 30 minutes, it looks like this is one I'd rather just see in the treehouse or something. So I'm hoping Mother 3 is announced, but not during the main presentation. It's a little bit confusing. It makes sense, I guess, if they only did 25 minutes. The schedule is still the same as far as being 9 a.m. to 9:30, which is my time. But they are going directly into the Nintendo Treehouse and things like that. So it's not like it's just going to stop. It's just that the live presentation's over. So they could do like some type of intro and then go into it for 25 minutes. But the fact is their main focus will be 2017 releases. And if Mother 3 really exists and they've really been working on it, that could be a 2017 release. So we will definitely see. My next comment comes from Rafspeed Logan. I think we get no ARMS or Splatoon 2 since both of them have directs, beta test launches, and both have tournament to close E3. I think both will present in the Treehouse, but neither of them will be a part of the spotlight. Also, I also think we get nothing about online service because I think the spotlight will focus solely on games. I think the online gets its own direct later. On my predictions, Mario Odyssey, a big focus on FIFA. Xenoblade gets 2017 release date, let's hope. Retro, whatever Retro is working on, whether it's Metroid or new IP, which would be a 2017 release date. That seems solid. I think Nintendo is all in on esports scene, and I think that they want those communities to grow. So I believe they'll have a huge Smash game with a 2017 release date. That will give Nintendo Mario Kart ARMS to Smash as a competitive esport type game. Okay, alright, yeah. I want a Zombie U sequel. I want that so bad. The only thing I want more is Metroid. Wow, that's awesome, dude, that you're that big of a Zombie U fan. The game was really frustrating to me that when I would die, I'd lose all my stuff. So I eventually got mad and quit playing, but that's awesome. Now, I will say this. I like all of your guesses except Smash Brothers. We know that there's a Smash Brothers port coming. And the idea, here's the seller, okay? The 3DS and the Wii U Smash Brother games had different sets of stages, different things going on everywhere. So if they combine those two games, it'd be like a whole new game with tons of stages and tons of just all this stuff, and that would be great. Here's the issue though. as far as esports is concerned, we just got this announcement the other day, which disappointed a lot of people. I'm living with it now. It hasn't made me lose hope in a mainline Pokemon game coming to the Switch. But in 2017, yes, it's not coming. But Pokken Tournament is coming to the Switch. We have ARMS coming to the Switch. We have Splatoon 2 coming to the Switch. All this year, right? We just had Street Fighter release on the Nintendo Switch in its own version. And as much as I would love to see Super Smash Bros. This year, I believe that this is going to be maybe a spring 2018 game, because they don't want to inflate this year's releases with ports. Now, not to say it would hurt it at all. All it would do is sell, but they are into the esports scene. But Smash just started getting accepted into the esports scene anyway, you know, because people didn't take the game seriously like they did Street Fighter and stuff. Anyway, my point is, what I'm saying is that they have a lot of fighters coming out, and the announcement of Pokken Tournament coming this year made me think that they're going to save Smash until next year. Let's hope that you're right. I would love it if you're right. I really want to be wrong about that, and I want, you know, a Smash port or Super Smash Bros. Deluxe or DX, whatever. I want that to come in 2017. I just really don't think that it will. I think they will have a big focus on FIFA as well. Don't forget about 2K18 coming this year. So they do have that covered as far as sports, but I don't think that's going to be during the Nintendo Switch presentation. It might be mentioned. It might be like in the middle of a sizzle reel. But I think their third-party support is going to go to companies like Bethesda and stuff like that. Specifically, someone like Ubisoft, who's creating the crossover Mario and Rabbids, and, you know, maybe something big like Assassin's Creed coming to the Nintendo Switch. That would be pretty epic. Xenoblade is a 2017 release date. Whew, man, I tell you this, I'm sweating about it. I really am. And the studio that's making Xenoblade, it took them about, 5 years to make the last one. And the idea that they can get this one out in 2 years just seems far-fetched to me. But I'm not giving up. I really want this to be a 2017 release. This is the big sleeper on the Nintendo Switch. And there are a lot of people that didn't play the original Xenoblade, which you now can get on the Nintendo 3DS, and then the Xenoblade for Chronicles, which is for the Wii U. I think I said those names right. If not, it's okay. You guys know what I'm talking about. So whatever Retro is working on, Retro has pretty much said they're not working on Metroid. They could have been lying. So it's probably a new IP. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll definitely see. Whatever Retro's working on, let's just hope it's not a new Donkey Kong game unless it's a 3D game. I'm pretty washed out on the 2D Donkey Kong games. They're really good. Don't get me wrong. They're excellent games. I would like to do something else. Unless it's a Donkey Kong Maker, like Mario Maker. So the next comment comes from Peria Mentality. I fully expect Breath of the Wild Fall Story DLC tease and a release date of the first pack. I'm going to take this a step further. Yes, I believe that there is a release date coming. I believe that there will be a downloadable content tease specifically for the story. This is something that is going to happen. Because people like me who've already purchased this for $20, we need to know what we bought. We don't even know what we bought yet, right? I mean, as of right now, we have a Nintendo Switch t-shirt and a couple items like Opal, I think is one of the ones I got. Which is like, really? I paid $20 for one Opal in a box. But I want to take my guess a little bit further here. I think that the DLC story is going to take place prior to the story. I think it's going to be that 100 years before, when everything started to go bad. Now, my hope for this game is that they can do DLC and just continuously put out DLC like twice a year at least, so that we can see some more of the story, invest more in the characters, see more about the champions, see, what happens after. If you got the good ending, I won't ruin it for you, but if you got the good ending that wasn't like, do you remember me? Then you see that it kind of continues. It leaves a lot of work to be done, I suppose you could say. So yes, I believe that this DLC trailer is coming, but I think it's going to take place the 100 years back before Link gets put into the shrine. And it would be neat if it was even in a way different time frame, like even if it was in the future after that had happened. That would be cool. Or if they worked the DLC to build up to another release and fight of Ganon, that would be just epic. The thing about it being after, if the DLC is after, is that the impending doom isn't there. That was magic in that game. That was right there in the center of the map. since you've sealed Ganon away, or Calamity Ganon. So I don't think that that's necessarily going to be after. I think it'll be before you get defeated, before you get put in the shrine, and that'll be pretty epic. Thanks for your comment. Alright, so I have Ian Prino sent 2. He says, I'm really hopeful that we get a few larger third-party announcements, not for ports and the like, but for something new that is multi-platform title. I want to see that Nintendo has been making the effort and actually get some games from Western third-party developers. Hopefully they don't spend much time on Odyssey at all, as they will have it playable at the Treehouse and it's going to be showing in depth. I'm hoping that the spotlight is for new games only, not ARMS, Splatoon 2, or Odyssey. Cheers. Well, man, just to be realistic with you, Mario Odyssey will sell 5 million consoles if they're on the shelves. I mean, it's just, you know, that's me being facetious, obviously, but this thing, I'm telling you, the attach rate for Mario Odyssey will break 100%. It sells better than The Legend of Zelda, and it not only does it sell better, but it literally moves consoles. People will go fight and fist fight this Christmas for the Nintendo Switch just to be able to play Mario on it, or just to have this. Adults love Mario, kids love Mario. This is a game that every single release it communicates, and it does very well with all age groups. Now, thinking about that, Nintendo is going to invest what makes them money. And as much as I'd love for them just to come out and just announce some crazy stuff and ignore everything they've talked about, the reality is they're going to spend a significant amount. Now that I know this is 25-30 minutes, I'm going to say about 5 minutes of that will probably go to Mario Odyssey. Or maybe just a super epic new trailer. That's about 2.5 minutes. And then they'll play it in the Treehouse. But it's definitely going to be shown. Splatoon 2 is definitely going to have a trailer. And ARMS releases at the end of E3. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be involved. I think as far as the main presentation is concerned, though, we'll just have a mention of ARMS. And don't forget, ARMS is coming out June the 16th or whatever, you know. But we will see a trailer for Splatoon 2, and we will see something more for Odyssey, because not everyone's going to hang around for the Treehouse, and some people want, you know, they're only going to see that in the presentation, and Mario Odyssey is their golden goose, so they're going to pour into it like crazy. Alright, Mohammed says, I want a Zelda story DLC trailer. Me too, Mohammed. Me too, and I believe we're going to get it. Haru Sirutus, I guess that's how you say that. Sorry if I murderized that. Says I want that Nintendo will announce Monster Hunter Double Cross for the West. Love that franchise. Yes, it's going to happen. The beautiful thing about this is, even if it didn't, I suppose that, you know, you could get you some Rosetta Stone if you wanted to read it, and just go ahead and play it, you know, on your current Switch. But let's hope this does come to the West. This game, typically, I don't know about this specific title, but all the Monster Hunters I've played have all been text, not voice acting. So to localize that should not be very hard at all. But then again, the Legend of Mana games should be able to be pretty easy to localize for the West, and they haven't done that. So, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I hope Monster Hunter Double Cross comes, but it makes sense for this to come because it's a perfect game for the Switch. It made their stock shoot up. And yeah, it's definitely going to come. Let's just put it that way. Gamercade says, I would love for Nintendo to reveal the Nintendo Switch supplementary computing device, or a Dock Plus that helps both with the Switch's performance and actually ships with future Nintendo Switch consoles instead of forcing people to buy it. So this argument is something that's going on the internet right now, and I'm sure it's going on in the rooms inside of Nintendo, where they're coming together and they're talking about the future of the device. Now the thing is, the Nintendo Switch is marketed as a console that you can take on the go, not a portable console that you can dock, but the opposite. So this being said, there's the question: if they put a additional computing device in there, made this thing more powerful than the PlayStation 4, made it to where you could play any game, made it to where you could play any game in dock mode, except you couldn't take it with you, and there were only select titles you could take with you, would it break the concept of the system? Now, they do have a patent for a supplemental device that goes inside of the dock that makes this more powerful. And they filed that patent at the beginning of the Nintendo Switch's life cycle. So this is obviously something that they are at least thinking about. Now, if you do put this additional power source in there, the Nintendo Switch is not far from the power of the PS4. And this will make it to where, yes, you could absolutely play things on an even level in the Nintendo Switch dock. And I would love to see that. The issue with that comes in with those people that purchase those games. You know, would it be doing them a disservice not being able to carry those games with them? And then you wouldn't be able to market those third-party games to be able to go with them. Now, those games, I suppose, could have different modes maybe that you could take and just play specifically on the go. I don't know. This is something I would like to see, but I think during a 25-minute presentation, they're not going to show something like this. It could come in a future direct. However, my guess for this is that they're just simply going to wait and upgrade the Nintendo Switch when the Tegra X2 comes out, and they'll put the X2 in there, which should put this thing right on par with the PS4, and then we'll see a lot more third parties coming. So they've done this with the 3DS and, you know, the new Nintendo 3DS, and it was much more powerful, and I think they'll do the same thing for the Nintendo Switch. Tryhard Black Guy says, I think we'll be getting a release date for Monster Hunter Double Cross Switch for the West. I have a feeling I have a feeling it will come out September or October because Monster Hunter Double Cross on the 3DS never made it to the West. Yes, I agree with you. It's definitely coming. The Nintendo Switch needs that game in the West, and I don't think they'll pass the opportunity to make the sales. Night Umbra says, I'm hoping to see Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD reveal. You know, this is something that about 2.5 months ago I said would never happen. But now that we see that gyro controls are good and they wouldn't have to rework the game from the ground up. Don't get me wrong, I really hope that you can use traditional controls in this game. Like, that's something that they do change, so you don't have to use motion. But this would be an excellent sale for the Nintendo Switch. I know I would personally purchase it. People have said, well, I don't know how I could ever go back to playing the old Legend of Zelda games after playing the new one. Now, I will say Breath of the Wild is by far my favorite. I'm held back by the idea that nostalgic games just simply have to be better. And I think a lot of people are held back by that. Like, they say, oh man, this is the best Zelda game I've ever played, but Ocarina of Time holds that certain place in my heart because, or Majora's Mask, or, Link to the Past. They all hold these special place in my nostalgia area of my heart, so I could never say something's better than those. But the reality is, Breath of the Wild is by far, the best Zelda game that's ever been made, and it's broken the mold. So I understand that, but the fact is, the other Zelda games like Skyward Sword were really good. As a matter of fact, Skyward Sword, as far as story, I believe it has the best story out of the entire series. The best characters and character development and plot and everything. It is the best one. That doesn't mean the mechanics are the best, but I'm thankful for Skyward Sword simply because that's the game that brought in the stamina wheel. Markovi2806 says, all of these things have been rumored and all seem likely to appear, but I feel it's just too much to cram into an hour presentation. If it is too good to be true, but I really, really, really hope they show that Smash for Switch port. Please, Nintendo, please. Yeah, considering they cut the time, he commented before we knew they cut the time down. Considering the time's been cut down, we can go ahead and say that anything 2018 is probably not going to be in there unless it's just a giant freaking game, that's like Metroid or something. And it'll only be a teaser. They're going to have to do this thing like quick and push these titles just like the last Nintendo Direct, do like a rapid fire presentation type. I'm hoping that they do mention Smash for the Nintendo Switch. I hope they do some type of reel that shows things to come, and that's part of it. But I don't think it's going to show anything but the fact that it's just coming, that it exists. I don't think they'll spend any time on it at all. The Goth Gaming says, I have my fingers crossed for a Dark Souls trilogy release on the Switch. Me too, the Goth Gaming. Laura K. Dale released information on this, and yeah, I don't know if you guys know about her or not. I'm sure everyone at this point has heard about this. Some of her stuff is very accurate, some's not. There's also been different sources who said that they've talked to the developers, and there's just been stories going out about this, saying they had these running on the Nintendo Switch and this and that. We know that Yebus runs on there. We know that, you know, the engine that runs this game works on the Nintendo Switch, and From Software has shown very open outward support for the Nintendo Switch, even so much so as to hint towards something like Dark Souls coming. It's not far-fetched to think that Dark Souls could make it over to the Nintendo Switch. I believe that they would run just fine, and I'm hoping too. This would be huge if they literally just announced a Dark Souls trilogy on the Nintendo Switch, or just 3. You know, even they just announced the first one and say we'll release one, you know, every 6 months or something like that as we get them worked out. That would be fine too. But to have Dark Souls on the Nintendo Switch on the go, this would revitalize my interest in that. Because for me, I would get frustrated and I couldn't just sit and continue. Now, when I was younger and I didn't have to work and I didn't have family, I could sit there for 12 to 15 hours on end and just fight the same boss over and over if I had to. So the Nintendo Switch opens the door, as you know, because you can take these things with you and play them, and just wherever you're at, you can take a break, try again, you know, play 10-15 minutes and put it up, or whatever you gotta do. Anyway, yeah, Goth Gaming, I hope Dark Souls comes as well. Young and Frisky, please just Super Smash Brothers, that's all I ask. Well, we've already talked about that, but I hope to. Backup 368, if you haven't played XCOM 2, it was one of the best RPGs of last year, and it should be able to run on the Switch just fine. You know what I did? It's an extremely good game. I believe that would be a really, really good selling title for the Nintendo Switch. But there is a niche of people. It just depends on who's bought the Switch so far, and how many of those people have played or like XCOM. It seems like from the numbers early, it's not necessarily casual gamers who purchased the Switch, but rather more hardcore gamers between the ages of roughly 18 and 35, who are significantly male, which surprised me. But that seems like the age group that would like XCOM 2, and hopefully we'll see that on the Nintendo Switch. Bruce Williams says, here's what I'd like for the Switch in the next 2 years. 2017 Metroid, Pokemon, Pikmin, Animal Crossing. In 2018 Kirby, Kid Icarus, new Super Mario Brothers, Star Fox, and that's it. So, yeah, here's the thing about that though. Those are a lot of first-party titles. Now, Animal Crossing, I believe, is something that's a safe shot and safe bet. I believe Pikmin is coming. Pokemon, obviously, this was before the Pokken tournament, but we know that the Pokken tournament's coming. And Metroid is something that, oh man, if it's over with, I hope. Now, as far as Kirby coming, Kirby's a safe bet, but he's kind of been like the hero of the 3DS lately, and I believe that they're going to put Kirby into the mobile market as well, so he may not come to the Switch, but hopefully he does. Kid Icarus would be great. Smash Brothers 2018, I think that's when that will come, and a Star Fox title. Let's hope that they do something more like RPG-ish with Star Fox, and not just another port, because the last Star Fox, as you know, it was good, but it wasn't great, which breaks my heart to say something about my Moto game. So it's just one of those things. But yeah, let's hope all these things come true. This would be a solid lineup. The only thing is that they keep investing into the Nintendo 3DS, then the Switch won't see a lot of these titles, especially the Pokemon title. Philip Leilmond says, I predict Resident Evil Revelations HD, Redux, and Knuckles starring Dante from Devil May Cry MLG Pro Edition. In all seriousness, no. I don't think Pokemon Stars will happen. If we're all getting Pokemon, it will be Gen 4 remakes, and they'll most likely be on 3DS. More specifically, new 3DS exclusive, or it'll be cross-platform or on both Switch and 3DS. Well, this was a good guess, because this was before that announcement, when this was commented, and it does look like that they're just reinvesting in the 3DS. It makes sense because, you know, not just to mention the install base, but the fact is 3DS is what keeps the I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Pokemon is what keeps the 3DS really chugging along, because it's something that no other system has, and it's also, you know, pocket monsters is what Pokemon is in Japanese, and it makes sense to be able to pull that out of your pocket and play with it. So, and if you're wearing Jinko jeans, you know, a flash from the past that luckily I never fell into. You could fit your Switch in your pocket pretty comfortably, but otherwise you're probably not going to. Thanks for your comment, Philip. Overheaven Gaming says, this is highly unlikely, but given the commercial success of Super Bomberman R, maybe a new Goemon game from Konami. Let me tell you something, Outer Heaven Gaming. I would just like to see a port of Mystical Ninja from the N64, okay? We've already seen the Super Nintendo Mystical Ninja on the eShop. The N64 game was amazing. The end boss is crazy. The characters are so cool. I love Goemon. I love Goemon so much. I hope that this does happen. A new Goemon game would be great. I remember reading about the one that came out in Japan for the 3DS a few years ago, and I was heartbroken that it didn't come here, and I literally almost bought and imported a Nintendo 3DS from Japan so that I could play it, but luckily I wound up not doing that. So I think that since Bomberman R did succeed, Goemon is a possibility, but I think maybe Castlevania might be more apt to come. Scary Larry says, here's his E3 realistic predictions. New huge viewing of Mario, obviously Zelda, DLC, Xenoblade 2 announcements, more Wii U sports, or more Wii U ports. I think Pokken Tournament will be our Pokemon game this year. Nice call, Scary Larry, because that did come to fruition. And finally, one, maybe two new game announcements, like Metroid. I was bashed hard for saying Metroid would come to Switch only like 8 months ago. So funny how that's changed. What I really want for E3 is Pokemon Universe, World, start us off in Kanto, and then every time you get to a new region like Alola, Johto, your Pokemon will no longer obey you in the region, require all those badges, and require you to get all the badges again, almost forcing you to adopt new Pokemon. This is my biggest dream, of course. Well, that sounds like a pretty awesome game. Yeah, it's crazy. More people are getting on the Metroid train just simply because more people are talking about it. It makes sense, and you know, I'm honestly glad more people are talking about Metroid, because it is a great series, and Samus is like, you know, especially I've heard a lot of complaints in the past couple years about the lack of female heroines in games, and man, Samus is like amazing, and this is something that, you know, Nintendo could do, and it should be a flagship of, you know, of the Nintendo Switch, especially considering that, to push and, you know, really ignite that Nintendo supports that female heroine in their games. There's been an outpouring. I think it's really unfair to say, because if you have, not try to appeal to women, but if you're, you know, 85-90% of your install base are male, then it's just one of those things. I don't know. I don't really know why there's more male here. I guess it's like a symbol of physical strength, maybe. It would be more difficult to have like a female Kratos that has God of War. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'm getting on a tangent there, so let me just take a U-turn. But yeah, I think Metroid really should come. I believe Xenoblade Chronicles 2 or Xenoblade 2 is definitely going to take up some time. Wii U ports, of course. And I would also, just out of left field here, I would like to see Wii U Sports Resort, or the original Wii Sports, or however you want to word that, ported to the Nintendo Switch also. And they can use gyro controls or motion, whatever they need to use. Herman Jacob says, Call of Duty World War II and Injustice 2. Well, let me tell you this, Herman Jacobs. Call of Duty World War II could most definitely run on the Nintendo Switch. I hope they do it. You know, I did a video about that not too long ago, and I think this is something that's not too outlandish. Injustice 2, I think it's an inevitability. It will eventually come. I just hate that it didn't come out side by side. Danny Dams says Bayonetta 1, 2, and 3. Yes, Bayonetta 1 and 2 ports would be fantastic. This is one of my favorite series on the planet. And again, speaking of female heroines, oh man, talk about a good one here. If you haven't played Bayonetta, it is now on Steam and things like that, so you can play it if you don't have a Nintendo console. But, oh man, you are robbing yourself of a really awesome experience if you haven't played these games. And let's hope that in the future, I know as of right now, Bayonetta 3 is not in development. It's just being talked about, and they're working out story stuff. And at this point, they don't even really know who the main character would be, whether it be male, female, who, how, and all this stuff. So let's hope they continue on from where they were, and just, I don't know, I hate to say just like rehash the same thing, but those games are really good. Omega Fire says, North American announcement of Monster Hunter Double Cross. Yes, I'm with you, Omega Fire. Muzaffar Kaldi says, I think they will talk about some mobile games. Maybe about a new Metroid game or new Super Smash Bros. Game. About Bayonetta 3. Maybe they'll talk about a remake of classic Nintendo games, release dates for other games, and maybe about Monster Hunter Double Cross and also the online service. Well, you know, that seems kind of solid. But let me just go ahead and tell you, they're not going to talk about mobile. This is a Switch-based presentation. They've just launched this new console, and as such, with 25 to 30 minutes, they're going to talk about this new console because they want it to keep on selling and be successful. They want to tell people there's one big game every month for the rest of this year, and so I think this thing's going to be Switch-based. As you can see, they've already gotten a lot of the 3DS announcements, if not all of them, out of the way in prior Nintendo Direct. So this one's, I believe, is going to be focused directly right there on the Nintendo Switch. Brandon Benfield says, would love to see a Resident Evil collection of some sort, like 4, 5, and 6, or 0, and 1 remastered. The first Resident Evil game is probably, like, this thing, like, ruined me when I was younger. I remember sitting there watching my oldest brother play this game, and I didn't even play it at first. I just literally sat there and watched him play this game, beginning to end. And you talk about scary, oh my goodness. Like, this was before zombies were mainstream and popular, and they just weren't as threatening, I guess, to a lot of people. Like, nowadays, zombies are like something that's cartoony and fun, and, you know, but man, not too long ago, it was stuff that was just absolutely horrifying to even think about. A remake of 0 and 1 remastered, 4, 5, and 6, all great. Resident Evil 4 was awesome. I also believe the new Resident Evil, I believe 7 is going to come to the Nintendo Switch. A lot of people are like really just, I don't know, I'm not going to say mocking, but a lot of people think that's crazy of me, but I'm telling you, you know, Capcom would not have pushed Nintendo to put that 4 gigabytes of RAM on the Nintendo Switch so they could run the RE engine if they couldn't run the RE engine on it. If they had no intention of putting Resident Evil on the Nintendo Switch and showing them huge support, they would not have pushed them to do something like that. The fact that it meant that much to them to be able to do that and have the support with Nintendo and be able to support them, it means that they're working on that. And it's, you know, we've seen reports of them optimizing that engine and that game to work on there and testing it right now. So I honestly believe we will see these ports. Resident Evil 4 has been on like every game console ever, so you know, you can go ahead and bet that eventually we'll come over. And yeah, I think we'll see a lot of Resident Evil. Joshua Perez says, any game that I almost bought a Wii U would be a great game seller for the Switch. I've been searching for the console for weeks since my birthday is in June, and my wife is trying to get one for me, and even here in Japan they don't have any. But Pokken Tournament, Super Smash, a Pikmin game, a GameCube Virtual Console. I'm pumped for this E3. I really hope Nintendo continues to deliver. I think that, you know, thinking about the rest of the year, obviously they're going to announce one big game per month. That's what they want to do. They want to trickle this. They want to fill in the gaps with third parties, whether that be Nindies or whether that be big third parties, which we know obviously we got 2K18 coming and things like that. But I believe that Nintendo is going to push out one big game every month for the rest of this year to keep sales going, drive sales. I know Mario Odyssey's coming. Xenoblade 2's may be coming. I'm almost certain they're going to announce a Pikmin game, and possibly an Animal Crossing. And this should be really neat. GameCube Virtual Console will be huge. Bring Lost Kingdoms to it. Pretty please, Nintendo, because I really want to replay that. And yeah, so thanks for the comment, Josh. Perez. Awesome. I like this one. Dylan Salvidi says, how can we see your voice? Also, I hope they occupy at least some part of the presentation for more Nindies. Metroid would be an instant buy for me, and I don't give a blank. I'll even pre-order if I have to. Yes. Okay. So, number one, if you try hard enough and use your 7th sense that only some people have, you can see people through the power of voice vibrations. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I enjoy that, you know, yeah, the smart, like, fun stuff, so thank you, Dylan. The thing is, you're watching a video, so even though it's just a picture and you hear my voice, you can only watch YouTube. You can't listen to YouTube. When you play a video, it's still video, so you have to watch a video. So yeah, you know, I guess I could put like a wiggly line, and maybe you can see the vibrations. Anyway, Yeah, I hope. I'll disagree with you here. I hope that Nindies aren't at E3. I hope that they announce that there will be a separate presentation for Nindies. I think that if they put a bunch of Nindies here, especially having the Nindies presentation they had before, it would be a huge misstep for Nintendo. There are people out there who are on the verge of purchasing a Switch who just need to know that the third-party support's there. And once they see it at E3, they're going to go, okay, let's go get our Switch now. And I think Nintendo needs to know this and take advantage of it. Metroid is also an instant buy for me. And pre-ordering's never been an issue. So, yeah, absolutely. Well, anyway, that does it for your wants for the Nintendo Switch. Thank you so much for watching. Let's hope that all these wonderful things come true. I appreciate you guys commenting. And, hey, if you come up with a great name for Gamestork's comment videos, please leave that in the comments below. I'll even give you credit if you come up with something cool and give you a shout-out for that name. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so if you like what you're hearing. And if you can see my voice, then you are using that 7th sense correctly. Anyway, we'll see you next time, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would like to help to improve the quality of content on this channel and also help to make content come out faster, please go to this link at gofundme.com/Gamestork to help me replace the equipment needed in order to make this channel better. Again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. And if nothing else, just be sure to watch, like, and subscribe. Thanks again. Bye.